We turn now over to the Outer Banks, where CBS News correspondent Mark Strassmann has been speaking with residents as the area clears out. Mark, what is the biggest concern for the Outer Banks right now?
Well, Vlad, like everybody, people here want to know, where's it going to hit? What's in this for them? Right now, of course, the models are showing it's supposed to make landfall a couple hundred miles south of where I am. These are the North Outer Banks. Wilmington area is about 250 miles south of where I'm standing. But of course, depending where it hits, and the northeast quadrant tends to be the so-called dirty side of the storm with the nastiest winds. People want to know what the storm surge that's coming in here for homes like this. All these homes mostly deserted on this beach. How bad is it going to be? And a lot of that, of course, depends on landfall, and we'll get a better sense of that, obviously, in the next 24 hours.
So the banks are sort of littered with sand dunes. Will those be able to at least slow down some of the surges?
You know, it's a good question, Emery. I mean, it depends where you are, obviously. There are no sand dunes here. In fact, this beach has been eroded over the last 25 years by a series of hurricanes. So there's very little protection for homes like this from the charging surf when Florence comes ashore. Further down the Outer Banks, there are some sand dunes, and those, in theory, are something of a buffer. Of course, it depends, again, how bad are those winds? How quickly are they going to erode some of those dunes? We'll find out in the next 24 hours.
So, Mark, the hurricane has weakened, as you know, to a Category 2. Is there any chance, and are the residents, such as the ones that you may have run into over the last couple of days since you've been on the ground there, is there a sense that the banks could be spared?
Well, here's the thing, Vlad. It's never a bad thing when a hurricane is downgraded, right? Never a bad thing. Still, Category 2 storm is nothing to laugh at. I mean, you definitely want to take it seriously, as most people here have. They will not know, of course, how bad it's going to be for a little while yet. But whether you have rolled the dice and decided to hold out here, or whether you have evacuated and are still worrying about what's going to be left for you when you get back, hearing that the storm has gone from a 3 to a 2 and maybe goes from a 2 to a 1, say, I mean, that is all good news and a confidence builder. The question is whether that's false confidence, depending where this hurricane makes landfall.
Indeed. Well, today's really sort of the last day for residents to get out of the area if they want to. What's the mood on the Outer Banks? And have you actually spoken to anyone who is deciding to ride it out?
They've definitely taken this one seriously. There's something different about Florence. About 75% of folks here have evacuated. That's the estimate of a local police chief I talked to. But there are always going to be holdouts. I talked to one this morning. His name is Dick Thompson, 71 years old, lifetime resident. We're actually standing on his porch here. And he told me why he has decided to ride it out at home.
There's always the same amount of deliberation on every one of these things. It all boils down to home, family, friends, deer.
But with so much to lose, why risk it?
You're going to run the same risk anywhere, bottom line. You know, and I'd rather be here and knowing what I'm dealing with than somewhere else and not knowing what I'm going to be confronted with.
Might you make a last-minute decision, call an audible and head inland if it looks ugly?
I hardly think so.
No?
No.
Are you stocked up?
I'm here. Yeah.
You're here, and you're set to go.
I'm good to go.
And nothing's going to change your mind?
None whatsoever.
All right, so we hope that he'll be okay. Mark, we know you're on his porch there.
We're going to be okay. We think we found a good spot to hunker down. And I'll tell you one more thing, just as a measure of how seriously people here are taking it. That police chief I told you about, he says that typically with hurricanes, only about 25% of the people in his town choose to evacuate. In this case, he said 75% have decided to move inland. A measure of how seriously people here take this particular hurricane and how Florence just feels different to them than most hurricanes that come along.
All right, Mark Strassmann, thank you so much, Mark. We appreciate it.